Hey everyone, Ryan Young, Kama Jiu-Jitsu. I had a family come to me, brought their 2 kids, 10-year-old son who's been training for 5 years, and 13-year-old daughter who's been training for a year and a half or 2. Prior to that, they're in California, and the son trained for 5 years. He's been training since he's 5 years old. A school with a big name on it. It's an affiliate of a big name family member. Let's just leave it at that. He's been training for a long time. I figured, you know what, I had only one student of mine show up to that particular class. That student of mine, 12-year-old girl, she's been training about 4 years. She didn't learn how to do a submission. She's 12 years old. She didn't learn how to do a submission until she got into the 6th grade. But she's been trained in our self-defense style. You know, headlock escapes, bear hug escapes, closing the distance. She doesn't know any competition techniques at all. Doesn't even know the concept of a competition. I really wanted to see where they were at. I didn't know what they knew or what they didn't know because they came from a big name affiliate of a family member who's known for self-defense. You know, first thing we did was test their base. No base. And in fact, instead of really try for a takedown, the boy at least sat down straight to guard and tried to pull my student into his guard. Being that my student knew how to base, it wasn't really happening. She did kind of accommodate him on the guard part, but then promptly passed his guard, got cross-eyed on him, went to Kesa. The same thing happened with the daughter. And I was just kind of mentioning to the parent, you know, we do a different jiu-jitsu here, and it's very important for people to learn the self-defense concepts, in my mind, because competition is great, but you can be good in competition, which these kids probably were. In fact, the boy put a reverse triangle on his sister and tapped her. You know, she's 3 years older. She's a lot taller and heavier than he is, and he tapped her. Tried that on our student. Our student just simply based up. The boy went upside down. His legs are crossed like this around her head, but his head is down here. And if you remember that video I did on the teenager from Texas who went and competed in San Diego and ended up in that similar situation where he had a triangle, regular triangle on a guy. Guy stood up and he held the triangle and ended up getting spiked on his head, and his head went like that, and he ended up in the hospital and paralyzed. But he's okay. But it was kind of a scary thing. I see this happening if this 10-year-old continues on this path. Successful in competition until somebody does a disqualifying event which could hurt him. Also, the thought process with the mom, and actually not with the mom, with the instructor of one of the instructors that he had was, he was in another kid's guard, and he just simply tripoded up and he put his forearm in the kid's neck. His instructor scolded him for doing that, saying that's not what we do, that's illegal. Illegal? So she was kind of in support of that because, you know, it's illegal. And I said, here's how we think about that. There's nothing illegal in our jiu-jitsu. And the reason why there's nothing illegal is because in a fight, nobody's gonna observe any rules. You know, you can't tell another kid, a kid who doesn't compete in jiu-jitsu or doesn't take jiu-jitsu, you can't get in a fight with this kid and then tell this kid, stop him midway through the fight and go, no, you can't do that because that's illegal. Illegal according to whom, right? Oh, you know, in jiu-jitsu, you know, we don't do that in jiu-jitsu. Well, this is a fight, right? So what I showed her was, okay, look, have your son do that. And you know, I think he did it to my student, and my student just did the counter, got out and took his back, right? My thought was, I would not want him doing that to anyone, not because it's illegal, but because it'll put him into a vulnerable spot to have his back taken and choked out. Simple as that. And that goes for anything. If somebody does something to you and you're like, whoa, what was that? Then we figure out how to stop it, and we figure out how to deal with it. We don't just simply say, oh, you can't do that because it's illegal in competition. When you teach the traditional self-defense jiu-jitsu, who cares about competition rules, right? I don't. You know, granted, okay, so if somebody's got guard and the person in the guard stands up and the person who's playing guard has a choke and they want to hold the choke and they get lifted up off of the ground, but they're holding the choke in a competition, what do you do? I mean, you can't slam the guy to beat the choke. You have to just let him choke you, I guess, right? If you're doing that in a fight, they'll slam you down. They'll knock you unconscious. So Why would we teach our kids techniques like that? It just boggles my mind. As I hope it boggles yours too. And I asked her, I said, what was the original reason for you bringing your son to jiu-jitsu? Was it for competition? Was it so that he can learn to be a good competitor? Was it self-defense? Now, seeing what self-defense is, are you confident your son knows self-defense? No. The video I did with one of my students getting in the fight in the bathroom, I had mentioned a conversation I had with a parent, a California parent, one who's looking at a California studio for his daughter who trains at another very well-known competition school, and how her professor was interviewed, asked about self-defense, and he said, well, when the situation arises, they'll know what to do. They will not know what to do. Trust me, they will not know what to do. I mean, that's really all I can say about that. So with your kids, ask yourself, are you having your kids do jiu-jitsu because you want them to learn to defend themselves, or are you having them do jiu-jitsu for the competitive aspect of it? Because that's not wrong if that's your goal. For instance, do you have your kids play lacrosse, football, soccer, whatever, so they can defend themselves? No. You have them play for the competitive aspects, for having fun in a soccer tournament or a football game or something like that, right? But for jiu-jitsu, as long as you're walking into it with the open mind and with open eyes, that it's not a self-defense art, it's a sport, then knock yourself out. Have fun with it. Let your kids have fun with it. But if you're enrolling your kids in BJJ because you're thinking it's self-defense, then you might need to look a little deeper, because some BJJ schools do teach self-defense. But if they're heavily into competition, I would bet they don't. And I would also be so bold as to make a wager that there are professors who are black belts, who own schools, who were never taught Gracie self-defense. They went through the whole process, earned their black belts, and never learned Gracie self-defense. Which is why they have to do MMA, or boxing, or kickboxing, to supplement their lack of self-defense skills. It's not bad. It's just not Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, that's all. You know, all those people that say Jiu-Jitsu is Jiu-Jitsu, no. At one time, that was true, but it's no longer true. There's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and there's BJJ. Now, some Gracie Jiu-Jitsu people who profess to be teaching Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, are BJJ. And some people who profess to be BJJ are Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, right? Nothing is, there's no hard line on it. There's always going to be gray areas, right? So a lot of you are going to jump on the comments and say, I train at a school and, you know, we do competition, but we also do self-defense. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those schools that do BJJ only, competition. That's their whole thing. Everything that they do is based on the criteria set forth in the competitive body. And then telling people, we're going to teach your kids self-defense. Those are the ones that parents need to watch out for. Simple as that. Anyway, I'm done with my rant for today. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing our videos. Thank you for the thumbs up. Comment on it. Let us know what you think. If you think I'm full of crap, then let me know I'm full of crap. But, just have a reason backing up why you think I'm full of crap. I have no problem with anybody telling me I'm full of crap, but at least tell me why and give me a good reason. Don't just say, oh, Ryan, because you're ugly. Okay, well, that I know already. I can't help that. But, in the comments section, I love the constructive comments. I love those ones that thank us for doing the video, or that telling us we helped them. That's great, because it tells us we're heading in the right direction. But we also like the ones that criticize us as well, because we don't know everything. We've been training longer than probably most of y'all, but that doesn't mean we know everything. Anyway, thank you for all of that. We really appreciate it. We're very thankful for you. Keep contacting us. If you want to have one of us come out for a seminar, we can totally do it. If you want to come here and train, we can totally do that. We've got an instructor training program we do by the week. We've got a training program we do by the week, or you can just come in and drop in. If you're out of town, come and drop in the classes, or take a private. Anyway, that's all we got. Hope all is going well with you. It's Friday, and hope you all have a great weekend. Happy training. Take care. Bye-bye.